Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Wednesday here at Laughing Dragon Inn. It's Shattered Kingdoms, episode 0, where we plan out our new every other week Wednesday campaign, alternating with Gracefall. Returning next week for episode 18. A title I gave it. I can't remember what it is right now. But very excited to be back. Very excited to be back with all these lovely players. So, where to start? Where do you think we should start, everyone?
Hey, Andy, what are we playing?
Let's do a lore overview. Let's do a setting overview briefly. As the name implies, we are in what is known as the Shattered Kingdoms. The planet is called Jalen. That's not important. It is in the same sphere. We're continuing to use this sort of Spelljammer sphere, which I don't even know if that's how Spelljammer works anymore in 5e. I'll have to look. We're using the spheres we have been using for a while now. It's in the same sphere as Grace Space, so it shares the same basic origin myth and pantheon with some slight differences. Civilization ended 1,000 years ago, or it was supposed to. Something has flooded the world, but that's not your problem. The world survived. You live on a beautiful island paradise. Specks of calm in a riotous sea. Ruins dot the world. Remnants of a bygone age. They contain great treasure of the lost age, but are protected by vicious creatures and automated guardians. The sea is a way of life for the people of the Shattered Kingdoms, both feared and needed. The storms that surround your islands limit travel, but without the other islands and the various resources they contain in your small kind of island chain home, you all would not thrive. So the starting area is 5 islands surrounded by the Forever Storm, and that's the world you've known for as long as you've lived there. It's been like that for 800 years. No one has ever made it through the storm, or if they do, most people are like, "You're drunk. That didn't happen." People sail into the storm occasionally. They never come back. And that's... So starting again in that island chain, spoilers for at some point, the storm will fall and it'll open up the world map in sort of a computer role-playing game terminology of just like, okay, well, you thought the world was here. Actually, that was just the intro, and now the title appears on screen, and now you can go so many other places. You have an airship. You won't get an airship.
We'll complete the tutorial.
Right. The tutorial's 40 hours. It's Final Fantasy 13.
That's Chekhov's airship. You can't just mention that.
Maybe you'll find an airship.
It's like RRR, where the title of the film comes in about 40 minutes in.
I love when things do that. It's just like...
Have you seen RRR?
I have not. I've heard it's crazy, but...
It's totally worth watching.
My other favorite joke is when the title screen comes up, if the bit in the beginning is maybe like more than 5 minutes, to pretend like that's the whole movie. Like, well, that wasn't that long. It didn't really make much sense, but it's still going.
Interesting screen opener.
I guess we really are the last of us.
No. Okay. So, is there anything anyone feels I've missed in sort of the overview I had previously given you all, or any questions I can quick cover before we start talking a little bit more in depth about things?
I would like to hear more about the touchstones and influences found at the bottom of this document.
Oh, perfect. Let me scroll down. And actually, I sent sent myself a message at some point. Hold on. Oh, how am I?
I wonder who it's from. Oh, me.
God, I just searched in my messages, excited, because I thought that would be the easiest thing. I had 500 results. Because it was
That
like,
sounds about right.
Here's how I get
Arguably a
excited.
character trait of yours.
Let's see. Let me just read this first. Okay. Scroll down. Okay. Some of my personal inspirations for this are things such as Moana, Mega Man Legends, Golden Sun, the Destiny Island portion of Kingdom Hearts, the hit television program Our Flag Means Death. Don't cancel it, David Zavlov. What are you doing?
I hadn't heard the update.
It's the full title.
Yeah. He hasn't canceled it yet, but who knows? He canceled a full-made movie, so
He'll do it.
he'll do it. Treasure Island, Final Fantasy X, Studio Ghibli movies, or Ghibli, I never remember which one is which.
Ghibli.
Avatar: The Last Airbender, Legend of Zelda, specifically Breath of the Wild, Link's Awakening, and Wind Waker. Star Trek is basically always an underlying inspiration. Star Trek and Star Wars, just sort of, just as a baseline. Let me see. Oh, here we go. So the touchstone I kind of keep coming back to, because for a long time I had to be like, okay, Andy, it's boats. How are boats different than Star Chasers? That's on a boat. Mm-hmm. You know, how is it different than this is Shattered. How is it different than Odyssey of the Dragonlords? That's on a boat. And the word I kept coming back to, and this is sort of where the Star Trek of it comes in, is like hope and mystery. You know, that the world is just more inherently hopeful than, say, Odyssey of the Dragonlords, which, as intended, is a bummer. I mean, I don't know, maybe not for Garrett, but the world as presented is not like, oh man, wow, what fun, these Minotaurs are enslaved. Like, you know, yeah, Garrett smiled in chat. Like,
two of us are, one of us is cursed. Two of us are cursed.
Right.
There's doom.
I have a racist ghost in my head. Like,
exactly.
It is a Greek heroic tragedy. Like, in the way that the Greek heroes aren't really good people. They just do amazing things. They do things that are worth writing down.
Accurate people.
So it's that. Whereas, and Star Chasers kind of became, well, it was very much about found family and kind of finding your place amongst your friends and your peers and your adventuring crew. Yeah, Liz says Andromeda's doing just fine. And Knifey, who has been here the whole time, I would like to remind everyone.
It's still constantly.
If Knifey shows up on our boat in this game, I will be so happy.
Cool, blimey.
As a stowaway, Marty will jump overboard, but
depends on the character.
But that means Hester doesn't have to deal with him anymore, Marty.
Oh,
he'll be like Rosie, like rowing a boat. ROWSA.
Yeah. Yes.
I only sail. Yeah, I only paddle. There we go. So hope was kind of the key word I kept coming back to. Mm-hmm. And also, this would be a lot more about dungeon crawls, and we haven't really had a proper dungeon crawl show in a long time. Task Force Unlikely was the first proper was our last proper dungeon crawl show, and that crew stopped dungeon crawling as soon as they started fighting gods, which was like episode 20, so of 60 or whatever. So they started to do a lot more. It kind of transitioned into a plainer. Well, for a sort of divinely sourced group, dominantly, that made perfect sense in retrospect. Like, it's sort of it was a very logical to me of just like, now this is like poking at their backstory. This is sort of where this goes. telling Lolth you're kind of a shitty grandma.
Like you do.
Like you do.
Like she hasn't
Where's
heard
my
that
silk?
before.
Where's my silk sweater, Grandma? Huh?
You have about 19 birthdays to make up for, and you're a god, so they better be some good gifts.
Yeah.
And a demon queen. That's just greedy.
Yeah.
So, kind of hope and dungeon crawls are sort of my two kind of keywords. Let's see.
Yeah, Liz doing just fine, thank you. That's what Liz says.
So
That sounds like a challenge to the DM.
we'll do task force unlikely one more job. Even I sort of don't want to do that though because
Their ending was
so
good.
beautiful. Like
Yeah.
I'd have to have a really good idea. And then in addition to kind of that, so some of the other things that would be accessible to you all, exploration, a lot of exploration, also kind of a key point of Gracefall right now. High seas adventures / pirates. The world is mysterious.
Pirates.
It's unknown to you all outside of your little home. You know, you're going to be going places where you don't understand things, where the ruins are ancient. They've had 1,000 years to develop differently. Maybe you go on red. I don't know. Other things. Other examples. You're made of paint. You have hot dogs for fingers. I don't know.
Ooh, I love the hot dogs.
Popular multiverse movies. Maybe you kiss yourself who's a girl this time. I don't know. Just throwing things out here. I thought that was weird, but you know what? I'm being told I'm wrong, apparently. So, I don't know. The hope of fixing this world that's been shattered. Or maybe it's better off being shattered. Evolving an adaptive setting, ancient ruins to explore, and then just kind of generally, as is often the kind of undercurrent of most of my games, I'm realizing, what's destiny? Am I right?
Sure.
Right.
Just comes up a lot, I'm realizing. That, fighting gods. There was another thing. Oh, dragons eating people's bones. I say that a lot. It's horrible. It's a horrible image. So that's where I'm at. Also gods are kind of bullshit, but also cool. I don't know. That's kind of.
I was far, except for the Andean worldview. You're the god above all.
Right. If I'm sort of an ultimate creator, even above like Ao.
Right.
Ao.
Hey.
Let me hear you say. Ao.
Well, your hands
Hey.
Just give me your hands in the air to say
Ao,
right?
That's
okay.
We're all on the same page. No, or not that gods are bullshit. That gods are people. They are fallible and not omniscient, and they're just like we talked about with Vampire and the World of Darkness. Most of them were probably a person at some point who kind of ascended to godhood, and what do you do with that? You have eternity to just kind of be petty at each other. You're always bickering. It's just sort of that. Okay. Let me see. Thank you, chat. Inspiration. Garrett, do with that what you will. You're not a player in any of my games.
It's general life inspiration.
It's just, yeah. Okay, I'm going to switch up. Let's see. Let's hope this works. Here we go. You can see now there is a map in the middle of the screen. This is the starting area. It's a little hard to see on some of the details of it, but let me see if I can zoom in a little bit. Here's the... Oops. Crap. Go down. Go below everybody. Oh. There we go. No, it's nobody's fault. Just part of the map was covering my face. This will be the starting islands, and then there's a couple other islands, and in the corners you can see the edge of the storm. Okay. Oh, that fits better. There we go. You get inspiration as well, Liz. Everybody said heyo or deo in chat gets inspiration. Sidon does. He's a god. Okay. Anyway. Okay. We're going to start at level 3 because level 1 and 2. You guys know how to play D&D. Level 1 and 2 are useful for people who don't know how to play D&D. You all know how to play D&D. So we'll start at level 3. Any officially published class or lineage is cool. Optional class roles are in effect. If you want to be a Warforged, talk to me. But you can do it. We just have to figure out how Warforged fit in. If you found something non-WotC that you like, talk to me. No race is inherently evil. I'll say that. Culture is generally based on...
I was just going to say not humans.
Well, interesting. Are we talking the real world or in my fantasy world?
It's just we'll strike it from the jury's memory. Sorry.
Culture is generally based on where you are versus where you're from versus race. People saw the end of the world, some of them twice even. Generally, kind of the greater good has prevailed. Like, the idea that, now, we can't let this happen again, we're all going to work together. Mm-hmm. That obviously does not preclude people, individuals, greedy groups, cults, people dedicated to shadowy powers, from being evil asshats. There's always going to be evil asshats who think my interests are more important than yours.
As long as it doesn't get political.
Right. I strictly no politics in any of our games. No politics guarantee. I'll put a stamp on the screen.
Oh no, now I've got to add that to the overlay. No.
If you could animate it too, that would be great. Like if it could stamp.
That'd be great.
That'd be really cool. But
yeah.
Let me think. A couple pieces of D&D Hattonverse lore. Mm-hmm. Zariel is no longer in charge of the first layer of hell. Alluvius, aka Lou, is. Tiamat is currently a fallen power. No one is the queen of dragons right now.
Be a problem.
So that's sort of... I think that's it. Multiversally. The universe didn't end because the Star Chasers stopped Veja, the one who sees from afar, from becoming the central goop for all of time and space and stealing the Raven Queen's
You're
powers.
welcome.
Thank you.
I could start getting into the nitty-gritty of it, but I don't necessarily think that's where our time is best served, because I can always make a separate video about that. Mm-hmm. So, if anyone has any questions about the nitty-gritty of it, obviously, please ask. But, does anyone have any overall questions, things I can clarify, anything like that? Otherwise, we'll start to talk to you all about what your thoughts are.
I have thoughts.
Okay. In my overlay order, let's start with Timothy.
I was going to request that I go last.
Of course. And that request is acknowledged and passed.
Great. Because I have ideas about things, but I kind of want to hear what other people are thinking first, because it'll help influence which way I go.
Yeah. Cece, you have a pretty kind of set in stone character idea, so let's talk to you, Cece.
Yeah, sure. So my character idea, first of all, I wanted to try being a monk this time. So originally started off with wanting to be the Goku monk, the Sun Soul or whatever it's called. It's Goku. Okay. But then I was like, oh man, I really like characters with like extra sets of arms.
Right.
It's just a character design thing I really like. I don't know why. And hey, there happens to be a monk that does that. It gives you extra arms. Well, hot dang. I guess I should go with that. So my character is going to be a monk of the, what is it called? The astral self?
The astral self or astral soul?
Something like that. Yeah, self. I was thinking that she would probably be an aquatic half elf.
Okay. So,
yeah, kind of. I looked at a lot of the different half elf options because I really want to be a half elf. And that the aquatic one kind of stood out. Also, might come in handy in a water themed setting.
Well, I guess.
Especially under the authority, we're starting underwater.
Yeah.
Yes. I don't make the rules. I just enforce them.
Sure.
That adds one more layer of a brand new world to what's happening.
Yeah. And then even though it's not, like explicitly part of the monks that they have to be like followers of like a specific god or power or anything, I thought that she would be. So she's kind of a follower of Sonez, who is the regent of the stars. So yeah, definitely a lot of, I kind of keep thinking of her characterization or like her aesthetic theming as very much a balance between, like more astral themes, more, stars and stuff like that, and the sea, which is kind of fitting, since a lot of the cities and stuff, villages, towns, whatever, are close to the sea, and so is the shrine where she grew up. So yeah, I can get into a little bit more detail of kind of what I've been thinking about for her backstory if we want to go ahead and go into that, but that's kind of like the basics.
Yeah. Why don't you go into that a little bit?
So the idea that I've been kind of noodling around, as far as backstory is, that she is not like, like a child of destiny or anything. She's like 1 degree of separation away from like a child of destiny. So
the cousin of the child of destiny, like that kind of thing.
Yeah, so like, so there's this character in Wind Waker. I think her name is Medley. And basically, like, her concept is that she was chosen to be the attendant of the person that's gonna like lead their people. So it's like kind of like that situation where it's like she's doing all of her training so that eventually she can help the person that's actually gonna like save the world or whatever. Like, so she's got to train up real good so that she can eventually help this other person be really good. So that's kind of the concept that I've been noodling with right now.
It's a real Wong situation.
Yeah.
We're in a Wongazance, though.
I love it's Wong's world. We just live in it.
I can't believe that's a wig. That's such a good-looking buzz cut wig.
Is that a wig?
It's a wig. It's like a whole very interesting.
Wait. His buzz hair is
a wig.
And why didn't they? So they didn't do it when because there are shots in that movie where he has more hair. And if that's a wig,
I think it was. I don't know. I can't answer that question. So that one might be more. That one might be the wig. But Millie Bobby Brown doesn't shave her head for Stranger Things anymore. That's a wig.
That's amazing.
And it's so impressive. So Wong is the same thing basically. So probably when he has slightly longer hair is the wig. I know that movie went through a bunch of reshoots.
But Millie Bobby Brown has so much.
She has a lot of hair.
Yeah.
So I'm sure you have to braid it down or something to get it to fit. But
dehydrated or something.
Wig technology has gone crazy.
Yeah, and to get off on wigs for a second.
Like, your local news anchors are probably wearing wigs just for continuity instead of...
Yeah, right, and that's why Marvel does it too. It's for continuity.
Yeah, it is ultra prevalent in a way that I was not prepared to learn. Like, you're just kind of like, oh, okay. You don't even need to, but okay.
That's funny, because I hate wearing wigs. Like, whenever I've been in a show, and, like, I think I've worn a wig in 2 shows, maybe.
I think I would get hot.
Exactly. It's just like, no, get it off.
Yeah, like, whenever I wear ball caps, I'm always, like, adjusting them. Like, I can't even imagine, like, you can't touch it.
Apparently, Lorne Michaels' first question to many people is, how are you with wigs?
Well, they're... Yeah. Plus, they're...
Like, literally, people are just kind of like... Did you like it?
Must be amazing.
Oh, yeah. Insane.
You know?
Okay. So that's so that's what Cece is thinking.
I have questions. Just wanted to know, like, so at story start, and maybe this is a spoiler, but like, is everything going normal? Like, you're gonna attend the person, and they're all cool, and I mean, like, do they make it as chosen one, or are they still gonna, like, are they still around?
Or practically shows you lose the chosen one, and you're gonna need it's like a job.
Yeah, right. I mean, I don't know at what stage of the chosen, because if we're going off and exploring shit, I'm just wondering. And maybe again that's a spoiler thing, but like it just makes me wonder, like, so if you're the Robin to the Batman of the universe, is Batman around? Like, where are they? Like,
so my idea was that they were probably somebody that's like younger than me in the shrine, that, you know, their training has not yet like fully begun. They're waiting for me to kind of like finish my training and become their teacher, kind of a thing.
I like that. So, right.
So it's kind of like pressure's on for me to become this great teacher, I guess.
Obi-Wan and Phantom Menace sort of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
In a way. Cool. Interesting.
Yeah.
If you're not prepared, I will take my answer later. But I would also like to know what kind of game flavors you're looking for.
Who, me?
Cinnamon.
Yeah. Like
cinnamon. Cinnamon's good always. Sweet, savory.
See?
What do you got?
No, see, Chris is allergic to cinnamon, so I don't have a lot of cinnamon actually.
Well, do you want some you want some fantasy cinnamon?
Yeah.
Get what you're missing.
Cinnamon can't hurt.
Yeah, it won't hurt anybody.
There you go. Those are words to live by. Fantasy cinnamon won't hurt anybody. Why do you play D&D? Fantasy cinnamon won't hurt anybody. That's why
I can pretend.
My character's going to be an exotic dancer named Fantasy Cinnamon. No.
I approve.
That's too much toe stepping on Dan's lap. And this stream can't support another former exotic.
Room at the table. There's room at the table.
But Cece, other than fantasy cinnamon, what are you looking for in a game? What about this kind of? What would you like emphasized?
Oh, what would I like emphasize? Okay. I did not have an answer prepared for this. I think probably I would be looking for, I don't know. I guess the way that I keep thinking about this campaign in particular is I keep kind of relating it to like Horizon Zero Dawn. So maybe something more along the like adventurous exploration kind of flavor, if you will. The fantasy cinnamon.
The fantasy cinnamon. Well, and very Fallen World, right? Like that's kind of the background of it. A lot of this used to have a use. We don't know what it is anymore, but it certainly used to have one. It's one of my favorite flavors in that game. It's just kind of like, we don't know what the hell it is, but robot dinosaurs are wailing all around it, so it's probably important.
I'll always remember this assignment. In 6th grade, we had to write a social anthropology piece, like from the point of view of someone in the future who found a piece of like quote unquote to us modern technology, and they had to posit what it was for. So I did a microwave, and I said, well, it was a small pet warmer. Like,
oh no.
Clearly.
So,
that's really good. I do love to think about stuff like that.
It's fun. It's fun.
Okay.
Okay, so I have adventurous exploration, fantasy cinnamon, Fallen World, tech. That's not how you spell that. Tech/ruins. Okay. Perfect.
I'm just here for a good time.
Just here.
And a long time.
For a good. That's not up to you.
Oh shit.
Whoa.
Oh shit.
Have your backup character.
Did I say that out loud? Ooh.
Shattered Kingdoms? Did I mean shattered expectations? Crush!
Shattered characters.
Yeah, how about pulverized kingdoms? That's the next level.
I hope you reach level 4 where you get followers, because your next player character is one of those followers. rolled on a random D6 table that Gary Gygax invented in 1978.
Oh, God.
Surprise, it's a character funnel.
Yeah, we're playing DCC. Deal with it. Hope no one wants to play a caster. It's horrible.
I have one of those books. I know you're into it, Andy.
I almost picked up the basic rules because they were doing a deal at Gen Con that you could get it for $10, but it's a huge book.
Oh no!
So I kept waiting.
You can
until the end of the day.
Yeah, no, it's a lot to carry.
I kept waiting till the end of the day, and then I missed out on it. It sold out. So.
Oh yeah, that's one of the most appealing things. Is that book is like 1 billion pages long, and it's like max $25. And it's just got lots of fun flavor in it. I am a fan of that game. It would never be my main game, I don't think, but it's fun to dive into every once in a while. We'll finish our 0 level Blackout at Crater Valley sometime. We will, I promise. Mondays are hard for me right now. Okay. Marty, you ready to go? You also usually like to go last.
I do, yeah. It's a real Canadian standoff. I don't know what I'm playing yet. I have, I think I've probably narrowed it down. I have, like, my concepts are still up. And so we might have to do a bit of a dance, Timothy, because I always like to be like, well, what don't we have, and settle in. But if we're going to play, both of us are trying to do that. Uh-huh. Yeah, I've done it before, and I'm prepared to lose. But
what are you thinking of? What are your contenders?
Well, so I think just based on the fact that, like, in the time that I've written up the document that I did share, it's okay, you're forgiven if you didn't all read it, but like in the time between writing this and now, there are really 2.5 standouts. The one is a rogue scout / battlemaster build, where it's basically I just get to kind of take the stream off a little bit and just be a clever little shit. But like kind of a skill tank, really good for dungeon crawls because it's kind of like, oh, I can do this. I can lockpick this. I can disarm that trap. I can do like stuff. I can be useful to the group in a broader range of ways, while also just being a little wharf ratty street rat piece of shit. And that's arguably the one that I'm just kind of like, that kind of sounds like fun and kind of like, not to put a fine point on it, but kind of easy. But it also kind of feels like I want to push myself a little bit. And I've played a street ratty piece of shit with Andy fairly, within the last couple of years. Not that it needs to be wholly unique, but... And lastly, I have basically what is straight up, I'm going to try and play Yuna from Final Fantasy X, turning into Yuna from Final Fantasy X too. But the one that I just keep coming back to the point where I'm like, I think I might just have to try it. And it's a shame because each of these three types that I'm thinking of really fit this setting, this idea, this launching point. Because also there's a Storm Sorcerer, Warlock of the Fathomless that just feels like Moana but more feral to play. So I those are the ones I keep thinking about to the point where I think those I can knock out some of the others. But my first page says basic seeds. I want to be related back to Amble Crown, which is the fallen isle. Lava basically overtook it. I want to be called to adventure. I want to be on this adventure. I think I often play characters who are like, well, that sounds like somebody else's problem, or I'm hilariously bad at the thing I'm supposed to be good at. I actually want to play a character who's supposed to be here, wants to be here, and is actually built to be here. And I want to be tied to the sea in some way. I like Amble Crown as it has some inbuilt story reasons to be from nowhere and nothing in the backstory prone to unfinished business, and I could easily leave the Gale-packed islands with relatively little baggage. So I want to, I feel like a couple times recently I've made the wrong character for the story. Like just kind of, and found that out like a couple sessions in. I'm like, so I want to be here for this adventure in particular. So that's one of my real driving forces. As I want to be, if I'm the shitty little street rat, I've spent my entire life looking at this ocean, wanting to get out on it. If I'm kind of the Yuna from Final Fantasy X, my people are going to send me on a pilgrimage to go discover what's beyond the storm. If I'm Pharaoh Moana, the sea is literally being like, come this way, child. There's something for you to see, So those are kind of the three really strong flavors. I like each one. And from easiest to hardest, I think I could play a clever little shit all day. Yuna would be fun, but very much plays into my, well, I hope everything's okay type. And more Pharaoh Moana, I just don't know who she is. But that kind of excites me to find out. So that's... I still haven't landed the balls, but I do think that there's like the Battlemaster Rogue Scout that I was thinking about, which my cons are see above, kind of a brick, runs the risk of being a real Chidara. I agree with myself. I think I know exactly what I mean by that. So yeah, Martial, I would probably go Rogue Battlemaster. Spiritual, I would go Cleric, maybe Rogue. Cleric, Trickster, Cleric, Rogue. Which would be a weird build. And then lastly, the Storm Sorcerer Warlock. Which, if we're starting underwater, I'm picking because I can breathe underwater.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's so tough because I would love to play any one, and I think each one leans into this setting so well. Let's settle that first. Timothy, does that give you any indication as to where you want to lean instead?
Thank you for your exhaustive overview. You're quite. You put a lot of thought into this. I was actually. I mean, I sort of relate to the I've done a lot of this. Maybe I want to change. Mix it up, kind of thing. Because I think I've told you my campaign where I play Owlman. It's sort of I'm building a Batman build basically. So it's super skill monkey and versatility and kind of the jack of all, trades in a comprehensive way, but based on a monk, very melee, punchy kind of thing. So I love playing a monk. It's a lot of fun, but there's also a Battlemaster in the build, so I relate to that too. So something that would be, and I've played full casters before, and I often play charisma disasters. In my Cursive Strahd campaign, I'm playing a Tiefling Paladin of Asmodeus, who is getting these nightmares where Zariel is actually pushing me to assassinate this other character in my party. And so when you were talking about Zariel's current status in the Hattonverse, it made me smile because fuck Zariel. It's like, you pushy little, mind your war. I work for someone else. Get off my back, you asshole. That's sort of been my character's standing.
Yeah, Tiefling Paladins.
Nice to hear.
Adjacent and onto the stream. Don't care for Zariel, it turns out.
Yeah. It's like, well, come on. Don't get me started. We'll talk about this post stream. Anyway, maybe Mira and I can have a good chat about it. Because I know Mira has lots to say about that. So I was thinking like a druid, actually. Maybe a druid of the stars. I think we're all sort of leaning to like, okay, we're in a water world. None of us want to drown, really. So, having at least having some sort of predisposition, whether by class, feature, or by lineage, that sort of leans into that. And like being a druid, it could wild shape into a fish or whatever, or depending on the race. So I don't know. I might go druid. Lean away from the charisma sort of caster, but knowing me, I always like to have a character who isn't just a one-trick pony. I like to be able to what if I can't cast? And I might want to be able to punch someone or unlock a door, or so I might mix it up a little bit that way, whether with background or with someone who's more of a can take care of themselves, ideally. Maybe has used to being left to their own devices and has sort of developed a set of skills that way. I like the idea of also being called to adventure. I always play characters who are on board as far as the adventure. As far as how things are going, how the group, my character can have an opinion about how things are going. Sure. That's one thing, but yeah, so I like that idea too. Like I said, as far as race, I'm not sure yet. I played some. I don't know. I guess I've been mixing it up, playing a variant human for so long. I guess in one campaign, and I played one in another campaign too. So it's sort of a nice, reliable standby for certain things. So I'm not sure yet, but I think a druid of the stars sounds like where I'll probably go. So I think I wanted to hear from you, Marty, because I thought I remembered you mentioning something about maybe playing a druid when we first were talking about this way back. So I just wanted to hear what the concepts were.
Now, even in my brief write-up, I apologize to Dan Slap. I would actually like to see a trickster cleric who's interested in being here and doing this actually work. And a trickster cleric rogue sounds like a really interesting build, but it's really out of the way. It's a little clumsy. No, and I'm willing to see the space a little bit because, let's see, we've got a monk, so we probably have our martial end covered. We have a druid of the stars. I really like how we're kind of locking things in. You have an instant connection with Cece, who's coming from a Sonez background. So I think the character I'm most afraid to play is the character I should really lead into, which is the sorcerer Warlock.
Pharaoh Moana.
Yeah, Pharaoh Moana. Because I don't know who that is. I might find out the first time I play.
That's whenever I've taken on a role as an actor, whenever I'm not sure how I'm going to approach it, it's always been a good sign. So,
I love the idea of pushing yourself. I love the idea of not knowing who this person is, and from a I know you point of view, you don't particularly like warlocks. So, which is weird because you've played more than one. Or no, you played one.
Yes,
you've played.
Viliana.
Because I thought Kavina for a second, but Kavina is a divine soul sorcerer.
That's right. No, she does have a god in her head.
Yeah.
If a dead god.
He's not dead. He's resting.
he's kicking. Yeah, it's tough for me to let go the idea of playing the Yuna, but I think it's also like it's easy to let go because I'd be playing Yuna if only I liked that character a little bit. Only like this last time I just played Final Fantasy X, and you kind of get to the point where the story changes and you understand what you've been playing the whole time, and trying to explain, because I was playing it with my wife, and trying to explain to her just how brave and strong Yuna is, like I couldn't stop crying about it. Like I am just such a Yuna head. But it's a story that someone else has told, and I would worry about that trying to steer me more than just finding out. And I think the one character here that there's the most finding out to do is also arguably the most interesting build.
Well,
so,
is there any nuggets that you could take from what you like about Yuna and her story to help kind of guide you in this new character that you don't know anything about?
That for sure. And the other thing about Yuna is there's a lot of stuff happening internally for her.
Oh man.
So but like, is that fun to role play? You know what I mean? Where it's just like, you say like one word and it's like in your head you're going through all this stuff, but does that necessarily then it's
right.
It's like I don't know. Like I think that makes sense, but like
I guess I'll marry the obvious villain because it'll make people happy.
Right, but it's like, but she never. She's just like okay, and like you know what I mean. Like obviously, there's conflict in her face and her action, but like she doesn't ever say that. Like it's all.
It's so strong, you guys.
I know, buddy.
I'm
and then halfway through the game, you're gonna get 2 guns and you're gonna lose your skirt.
Shit.
Yo, you guys are saying that it's a bad thing because, honest to God, like that's part of the interesting thing of like going out with. So, walk with me here as far as like a little bit of projection, as far as like maybe it could go like this, obviously without playing a single adventure, but like yeah, absolutely leaving home, good girl cleric, absolutely kind of like I serve the sea, it's fine, and going like 2 dungeons deep before it's like. Fuck this, I need a knife. Someone give me a knife. I'm gonna be too good at this shit after this. There are evil things down here. There are pit traps. I need some rogue levels fucking stat. You guys saw that. Like, I do kind of like the idea of leading into that, but it's also projecting where it's gonna go, whereas I feel like, again, the Sorcerer Warlock, depending on how much I want to lean into either side, I can very easily switch which level I get next and what let's sell ourselves to the sea a little bit more and stuff. So I think to the point of favoring it, because Timothy, you're going to be a divine class enough for us that I think the one thing we don't really have covered is this kind of mystery. But between the 3 of us, we've got, I don't want to say worships, but like as an adherent to Sonez, Timothy, you're bringing the stars, I'd bring the sea. We've got everything we need to have a pretty, obvious, cohesive, here's a reason that we're a unit moving forward from session 1, basically. Like, and yeah, all right, let's commit to it. RIP these other characters. Andy, I might need you to play several more things in this setting because
I'm
this
a
setting
fan
has
of
me
this setting.
very exciting.
This and Graceful.
So I just want to say that I predicted it because on the overlay you'll notice that I put Timothy up in the star on the map overlay. I put Timothy up in the stars. Me in the middle is kind of the balance between the sea and the stars, and Marty down in the sea. Dabs. All right.
Hold on. Let me switch to that so everyone can see how right Cece was. Look at that.
I am not surprised at all.
And
Well deserved.
to get meta for a second, although I think party balance is typically overrated. But from a party balance point of view, monks they're pretty resilient. They're kind of good at shaking off statuses. They're good upfront fighters. They can bounce around a lot to kind of hold down a bunch of people at once. Druids are among the best just all-round classes. They can kind of do whatever you need them to do. Wild shape into something tanky, heal, do awesome support or control spells. Lots of good... Yeah, summon some bullshit thing where I have to look up a list. No, lots of great attack spells and debuff, and like Moonbeam's a great spell, and just lots of really cool kind of just such a flexible class. And then kind of Warlock, Sorcerer, you have
Charisma disaster.
You have a charisma disaster. You have someone who can cast Fireball. I am
the
not
ultimate glass cannon.
Being facetious, whereas I played in a party once. This was in 4E, where this was a little more important, where we did not have a controller, and it hurt us a lot.
Oh yeah,
where
I remember 4E.
Yeah,
remember
we did not have someone who could kill a bunch of minions at once, and we would get bogged down fighting minions. Whereas, to use an example from a game that wasn't on stream, the Tillers had 2 people who could cast Fireball, and they defeated an encounter that was on the hill next to them before it got to them. It's just like, well, I just cast Fireball. Well, I'll just cast Fireball too. Well, fuck.
The encounter is meant to, and if it goes too long, the cavalry shows up. The cavalry was like 4 rounds later. And we're like, we got to be shitty to them. It's like, well, where were you the whole time?
Guys, we've been waiting.
Yeah.
I didn't create that encounter. Is in the book, and yeah, it's supposed to be like, this is a very difficult encounter, but don't worry, it's not intended to kill anyone. It's intended to wear them down until these other important NPCs come and kind of establishes a connection to them. No, we don't need them.
Nope.
2 of us know Fireball.
Yeah, and speak of nevers, I have never played a sorcerer, and technically a divine soul sorcerer, but I again, that's a person who doesn't want to be on this adventure a lot of the time. I never really played around with meta magics and spending sorcerer points or warlock. And again, yes, I've played one, but that's another character who's not great at being a warlock per se. So something inherent in that is, and I think I'll easily get your buy-in on this, Andy, but I want them to be the same power. Technically, it's going to be a multi-classed character,
sure,
but I want it to be the same thing.
Yeah.
Like, I am empowered by something. How much I know about it, we'll talk about a little bit more, and don't need to decide right now. But, but the idea that it's all one power. If I gain a point in Warlock or a point in Sorcerer, right, it's all coming from the same place.
I have an idea, but what are you starting as?
I believe I started Sorcerer, honestly, just to get the Constitution saved.
Sure. So this idea works for that. Like, maybe the idea is, you are empowered by the ocean or whatever, and then you made a deal to just deepen that power. Like, it was kind of like X-Men who take kick or whatever that is, jump, sink, other MGH. Compound V. Yeah, like the idea that you're trading something, whatever that is, soul, favors, a spell slot, whatever, to just simply accelerate your connection to the sea or the lightning bolt that hit your dad or whatever. I'm sorry, your mom.
Thank you. It's nice to be seen. But it's nice to be seen.
Are you going to do an Eric Genasi?
No, so I built all of these with what Tasha's alternate rules, whatever they are, made up bullshit. And man, they really help, especially with multi-class, because you can get a feat right away instead, much like an alternate build human. And so that was very helpful of just picking, resilience? Whatever the one is, gain 1 in that thing, and also you have proficiency.
Resilience is a great feat.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that way you can cover your other butt, because when you multi-class, you tend to have 3 butts, and you can only cover 2 of them. But I really lean towards, I can just take resilience to cover my other butt. This doesn't need it. I do have a build in progress for this that I liked a lot, but I might still play around with it. Race-wise, I might be a little ambiguous because, again, Tasha's new rules, I thought they were
going to be a create your own race?
Kind of, yeah. Like, it's almost not important to the point where I might just be human or whatever. Like, was Amble Crown particularly one thing or another? It felt very human-y to me.
Well, everything's kind of...
Yeah.
By design, everything's kind of everything.
Because we've had however many generations of you're all stuck in the same bubble. Yeah. I probably picture very human-esque, but I might flavor that depending. I could also think of myself as I might go ASMR for this benefit, or Triton or something for another benefit. But
Triton's a fun race.
I do like Triton. They are kind of neat.
I played a Triton Paladin and I had a ball with that guy.
Yeah. No, but I think so. Again, this one's going to need some time to cook. But I discovered Hester on stream, and even though I think I was a little rude to start, thank you all for bearing with the fact that Marty sometimes likes to be unlikable to start. But yeah, I'm looking forward to discovering some things about this character, including who are you? But yeah, so I figure I will marry a little bit of that, my people are from Amble Crown, or it's fallen. We're making our way. We're basically refugees, and whether I'm close to a chief or other known personality that since no longer has their station, and I would be representative of I'm going to go out past the storm in a couple of episodes. I'm going to go out past the storm as representative of our people to find us a new homeland, to recover our whatever, but it will be very forward. It will be very, I don't have to come back here to deal with my mom. I have to go out there to deal with my mom.
Mm-hmm.
It's the real.
That was struck by lightning.
That was struck by lightning for sure.
And if I don't know if any of these speak to you, but the Spelljammer races are Astral Elf, Auto Gnome, which are robot gnomes. The Star Chasers briefly met them. GIF.
That would be great in a water setting.
Hippos are water based. GIF would be fun.
They can swim. They have a swim.
Good.
Speed.
They should. Hadzi, which are
weird.
Yeah, they're
flying monkey.
They're
people
flying monkey people, but they have they don't have like Wizard of Oz monkey wings. They have Banshee from the X-Men, big
armpit straps.
Armpit straps. Yeah, flying squirrels, exactly.
And they have little hands like the bees on their feet.
That membrane is called Patagia. Keith, who is currently yelling his TV screen, or wherever he watches us, Patagia. It's called Patagia.
Give yourself inspiration, Keith. I don't know how you can use that, but feel free. Plasmoids, who are ooze people, and everyone's favorite bug folk, the Thri-Kreen.
They have 2 extra arms that they can use for a light weapon.
I remember probably a Dragon magazine. It might have been their April Fool's issue kind of thing that happened every year. But there is something somewhere on someone's paper. Excellent job, Marty. You've really painted a picture. But it's multiple, let's say 3, Thri-Kreen singing, "We 3-Kreen from Bethlehem." And I speak of things that live right in my head. Yeah, I still remember that very vividly. Every time someone said Thri-Kreen, I'm like, "We 3-Kreen from Bethlehem." You get it.
But just to add, because I don't know if you had looked at those yet.
I might have to check out those Astral Elves, because,
They're pretty cool.
Yeah, I was going to say, I know what they do. I know what my version did, because I wrote them up at some point, but... I'll actually have to compare.
They have a Misty Step ability, but it's called Astral Step or something, and you, instead of it being once it might have changed as well in the new version of the regular Eladrin. No, actually, I don't think they got an update, but it's proficiency bonus times per day.
Right. Yeah, they've
more
changed that to a lot of the
the race updates.
Yeah, which takes away my only complaint of nothing else works like this. Well, now everything else works like this. So still don't know if I love it, but at least it's consistent, and that is
it makes stuff scale.
It does, and it makes you care about proficiency bonus in a way that you didn't before. So I think I like that. I just almost wish it would have been here from the beginning, but I can't fault them for figuring that out later. And
proficiency bonus was asserted from the beginning, obviously for the things it's good for, skills and
sure,
saving throws and attacks and stuff.
Yeah, but it's one of those things that you would write on your sheet, and then you would just on level up check. Do I have to change anything? I don't have to change anything. But now you do have to actually know it.
Yeah.
But then that also makes it better for when I'm like, hey, make a charisma survival check. You're proficient in survival, so add your proficiency. Then people will start to know their proficiency. But I'm talking myself into liking it. It's just
sure.
At first glance, I wasn't the biggest fan, but I do think it's probably good. In the
I also
long
think
term.
that as a scale measure, it's a reasonable scale. Like you can have this dope ability at lower levels, and you only get it twice a day. And then you get it 3 times a day, and then and so by the time when you have it 6 times a day, you got other stuff going as well. So it doesn't feel like it's it feels like it works organically.
And if it was ever like, whiz times per day, minimum 1 or whatever. Well, now it's like, well, I don't use whiz. My monk doesn't really have a high wisdom. Like I'm more playing just the straight fighty part of it. And now it's like, oh, good. I don't have to care about that anymore. Fine, Wizards, you win this round of this game I play twice a week that I clearly love. Okay. So, it sounds like we have kind of a good placeholder, kind of pins in things. The finer details can come in between weeks of race and name and even class. If you're just like, well, maybe I decided I don't want to be a storm sorcerer. I want to be a divine soul or chromatic or whatever. Or with this druid,
you zoomed in on the one thing that might change, by the way. So yes, very well seen.
Yeah, or the druid is just like, oh, you know what? I looked at Shepherd, and Shepherd actually has a lot of the cool stuff I want.
Sure.
Or CC. You know what? I do want to be Goku. Screw you, Andy.
And I want extra arms too.
Yeah. Fine. You have to be a fry cream.
Then you're exactly.
Make it work.
Fry cream Goku.
I do love the idea of the praying mantis just like stop jabbing me in the face. Like
Kamehameha.
Boxing your ears and punching you in the face at the same time with the little hands. Bam, bam, bam,
cut it out. The crane kick's an illegal move.
You have to be a bird to do it.
No, and Northern Mantis is gross because it's a lot of just, my fingers are in your throat, my fingers are in your eyes, my fingers are in your ears, my fingers are in your throat. Just fucking stop touching me, actually. I don't want to kung fu anymore. You ruined it. I was a tiger. And now I'm not. I'm going home.
Okay. Is there anything else is there anything else we all want to talk about? Or questions, comments, concerns? I want to say Cece.
Did we want to establish, I know that maybe I'm the only one to the point of thinking about this, and we can establish it off chat or whatever. But did we want to establish that there's some sort of a connection between our characters from the get-go? Do we know each other, or have we seen each other around in some way? I think it was not Star Chasers. What was Phantom Horizons, where y'all had some sort of a connection, at least with one other person.
Yeah, you had to pick a person
and I
go round robin.
And I thought that was a really good way to kind of start off a campaign. I thought that was a really interesting exercise that y'all did. So I didn't know if you guys were interested in doing that or what, but I thought it would float the idea.
No.
No, I hate it. Burn it with fire.
I think that's great. And then to add kind of a layer, I also always like the idea that I know everyone on this island and I don't know you, so that immediately makes you interesting or off-putting to me. Kind of the town gossip or the town knows that Miss Marple, kind of the town brown or nosy person kind of thing. But
now, Marty, you were saying you're from another island, different than the main one?
Yes, but we would be refugees here for long enough that to be able to form a connection if needed. So, and I always like for instance, Cece knows me, I know Timothy knows Cece kind of connections.
Mm-hmm.
Well, actually, with the three-corner, you've gotten pretty close to a closed circuit pretty quickly. Now that I say it out loud. But yeah,
depends on how you know each other, though, too, can be different.
Yeah.
Because one of us could be related to the other.
So
whether through blood or through marriage, they could be cousins. They could be, step children. Anything like that. Just to throw that into the mix. Co-workers. Colleagues on some level or not. Or some like with Beyond the Wall, some incident. You defended me from this bully when I was 7. You stood up for me, and I never forgot it. And then I used to see you around doing this kind of, whatever.
Yeah.
We could,
Yeah.
And maybe you haven't seen them since then, but it is.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like, I remember you. You were the guy. Yeah. That kind of thing. Some
Yeah.
Eddie
Yeah.
Munson.
Several years ago, so that's long enough to have been here, long enough to be a citizen, to be established.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's been indeterminate time, but it's been enough time where the people of Amble Crown have settled around, and it's still new enough that it's ruffling some feathers still of just like, you're not in charge of this town though, and like that, right? Like you still have a voice on the council for like island chain decisions, but like you don't run this town kind of thing, and like so there's like that kind of back and forth. But like so for the sake of the video and the folks who have not read the full document, so the main island, the big one, is Wayward Vale. You'll all be starting there. You don't have to be from there, but it's the most populous, so odds are you are. That doesn't, adventurers defy the odds.
Don't we just?
So there's Wayward Vale. There's Portsmouth, which is to the east. No, west. West.
West.
The west.
Did you say never eat shrimp?
I said never eat shredded wheat. That's how I remember north, south, north,
okay.
East,
like
southwest.
It just spells "we," but yeah, no, I like never eat shredded wheat, I guess.
It's what I learned as a kid, and it's what I know now.
Hey, whatever gets you there.
Well, also, the compass on the map does not actually have the directions on it. No, I can read a map. This is why we get lost on family trips. It's not my father's fault.
He's taking the fall for so many of those.
He just wanted to see where those steps were.
Right.
There's Portsmouth, which is kind of a rocky island in the north, kind of some grasslands. They build a lot of ships there. Let's see. The Evenwood is the island in the southwest corner. That's where it's, as the name suggests, heavily wooded. Lots of lumber and kind of wood-related jobs are done there. To the northwest is Stargell or Stargle.
You named it.
I know, and I'm trying to remember.
Only you know.
Stargell. I think it's Stargell. Wait, I know it's Stargell. Assertive.
There we go. This is the demand we've come to know and love.
It's rough and rugged. It's kind of Viking-y, like or Scandinavian-y. Amble Crown is the one that's covered in lava up in the corner. It's covered in lava. And then Sylvan Harbor, down the final one in the southeast corner, is a big harbor city. It's where like the seat of the government is, but in that kind of Washington D.C. way, where it's like sort of out of the way and it's in like in a swamp. But it's like it was like nobody wants it to be here, and therefore it has to be here kind of way. Like nobody's happy about it, but it's
right because it I think with DC they had to create a new capital, so it wouldn't show favor to any one region.
Exactly.
I think they did that with Perth in Australia too.
Well, that you couldn't just take the Delaware into the city center and start bombing the shit out of the capital.
True, that's true.
Yeah, it's a lot more defensible, and this is in that same way very defensible. It's got a bunch of, it's a very big inlet harbor where you could very easily kind of close off the one way in, and then otherwise you're coming by land, and then there's a bunch of walls around it as well. So it was sort of the quote unquote logical choice to be the capital. Because New York can't have everything. / Philadelphia, we don't have anything anymore.
Tip the bell.
We have a broken bell.
Claim to fame, our shittiest bell.
A bell that didn't work. I'm
proud of it for some reason.
At least the Liberty Bell Center is nice now. When I was a kid, it was in like a bus station, basically. Like it was in like just like a tiny little like it covers just the Liberty Bell, and you'd walk up to it and be like, "There's a bell." Now there's like a museum built around it, at least.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know. Now it feels like you're not getting the real experience. I mean,
no kids will ever have to be like, "That's it."
I'm about to get mugged watching the Liberty Bell. Broken his bell.
It is cracked.
I
picked up on the metaphor there.
I took a bunch of students into the city once. They were from like Virginia or something like that. And they all just started in Old City where the Liberty Bell is. They all just started crossing the street. I'm like, okay, everybody run across. Yeah. And I'm like, you can't just cross the street whenever you want. It's Philadelphia. And they're like, well, back home, there's a stop sign on a tree. And I'm like, someone will hit you here, and they'll be mad that you've slowed them down, that you have inconvenienced them. Philadelphia hits different, kids.
When I went into Philly, I remember that getting the same warning. It's like, pedestrians don't have right of way here.
You legally have the right of way. You might be defending that legal right in traction. So,
or on your
yeah,
right?
Legally he was in the right.
That's right.
Forever in our hearts.
And all right, exactly.
We got T-shirts made. It's airbrushed on the back window of my van.
Yeah, you get one of those like little bumper stickers made. Legally, he was right.
Legally, he was right. 1975 to 2020. Well, I have some game flavors, Andrew.
Oh, yes.
Timothy, do you have any game flavors?
I definitely like cinnamon. Mentioned earlier.
Fantasy cinnamon?
Fantasy cinnamon. I mean,
that hurts no one.
That hurts no one. No one gets hurt by fantasy cinnamon.
That's right.
I like the exploration. I like the stated intent of our beloved DM as far as like dungeon crawl. It's sort of getting to a sort of pure OG D&D game in a way. Perhaps away from world-shattering consequences. Perhaps not. We'll see. That remains to be seen, I guess. As third-level characters, we're probably just trying not to get, killed by a giant rat or something. Well, I guess we're beyond giant rat at third level.
How many giant rats
2
are there,
giant
though?
rats.
Yeah.
That's true. Exactly.
I think they have pack tactics. Like, a couple of them, that's not going to be fun.
What about the Giant Rat King? And actually, pack tactics have defeated dread boards before.
Those goddamn wolves.
So you got to be careful of pack tactics. It sneaks up on you.
Yeah,
You roll with
absolutely.
advantage sometimes, and you're going to knock a dreadlord down. And worry his leg.
Exploration's great. I like all 3 pillars. I like healthy dose of combat happening. I also like, RP, as we know. So, it can be Monster of the Week. It can be ongoing. I'm Swiss either way. As long as we're having fun. I like the idea of the world is full of mystery. I always enjoy points of light sort of settings. It's nice. It's nice that there's mystery, especially a setting where so much has been forgotten. It seems, appropriate, as opposed to like Eberron, which is like one of these established, everybody knows every inch of the globe, and it's all been written down, and there's it's like fantasy hyper modern, as opposed to like, there's some stuff that is like that maybe, that we know about, and there's other stuff, just having a rejiggering of what our day-to-day realities are for the group and stuff. I like the idea of like not assuming that we know everything about the world, and it makes sense that I think we discussed this when we first were just talking about it. Just the idea of like, which has already been spoken to, being connected to the sky, the sea, the stars. Things that make sense to a maritime culture, to one where it is so much about sky and sea, and things like land and trees are precious commodities. Not something that you just make and toss. Like there's stuff gets repurposed, I imagine, or there are alternatives, or do you use bone for things? Do you use I don't know what else. Synthetic woven things that are hardened or something, or
Well, and it is a very we haven't kind of talked about this, but it is very high. It is in a way high magic. Like there is magic kind of everywhere. So then the idea that like, oh well, a wizard made it. Like I can create food and water. I'm a 5th level druid or whatever. Like,
right.
Every town has like 4 5th level clerics or druids or whatever. It's just like my job is to create food and water all day. Like that's it. And
right.
I have other duties too. But every day I create food and water. And then I go and I tend to the other crops and kind of things. Yeah, it's a very...
It's the chores.
It's a very egalitarian kind of... like, for lack of a better term...
All for one and for all.
Right. And for lack of a better term, like solar punk. Kind of the idea that, like... Now, it's not... I did not make that up, by the way, Marty. So it is a thing. But, like...
I love it.
Yeah,
I'm going to look it up.
Yeah, look it up. It's really neat. But, like, the idea that, like, it's smart uses of resources. It's it's a hopeful future, not a cyberpunk future. It is. Yep. It's very much a reaction to solar or to cyber and steampunk.
I love it.
Yeah,
I'm immediately loving it.
I like the solar punk.
Yeah, it's
sort of also / Gilligan's Island.
Yeah, it's a great feeling for this setting. I really like it a lot.
CC, did you just get dramatic? What happened?
Yeah, did you lose power? What?
Sorry. No, I forgot to turn on my light before it streamed.
Oh, so the natural light has faded.
Yeah.
It got really
so
dark really
bright.
quickly. It was like bam.
Yeah, I thought you switched to like a light switch. Exactly.
It's because I have the Google Doc pulled up, so that's what's giving me
it's
my
got the
light
nice
right now.
light.
So if
Old streams with just the Google Doc illuminating me, so I get it.
So if I go off of the Google Doc,
if you open up the chat or whatever,
But it's funny because I've zoomed with friends who use those app lights,
Mm-hmm.
and they've had them malfunction in games where suddenly it just gets dark and they're like, oh, what the fuck's going on? So it's like, oh, did that just happen here too?
No.
And there was something else I wanted to... we didn't really go into the gods a lot other than Sonaz, kind of, but like something that Timothy said, I wanted to kind of reiterate. It's in the document, but it's not, I haven't said it. So because the gods are very similar to the Gracefall Pantheon, which it hasn't come up a lot in there either, but I think that's almost by design. Well, no character is playing like a cleric or anything, but also almost by design of sort of like this, like quote unquote modern post-industrial society has sort of left religion behind in a couple ways, even though like their society only exists because these gods overthrew Titans. But anyway, so these gods, there is no like god of the ocean because the ocean is everything. So every god has something that sort of ties back into the ocean. So like if you want like fair weather, good winds, you pray to the sky goddess. If you want like a large catch for fish, you pray to like the hearth goddess, like the home goddess. If you want bright skies to navigate at night, you pray to the star god, that kind of thing. So it's like, again, it's been, to the best of my ability, woven into everyday life, that the idea that like the sea and the sky are kind of everything, they're everything these people have. Okay. Marty. What are your flavors?
Yes, I've written them down. I have a list and a 2-act play. No. So I've written down a couple of my kind of like my inspirations for like what I'm thinking through, and a lot of them line up. But like Alolan Pokemon, I just like the idea of like. We'll actually get to that to a second. So, danger, mystery, exploration, high adventure, discovery, creepy, dungeon crawly, resource management. I'm surprised how much I missed that. I like the idea of like, ooh, I'm running low, you guys. Like, we have to kind of be careful right now because I'm running low. And a little dangerous feeling. Like, I don't love character deaths, but I do like feeling like, oh shit, we gotta get out of this. There's some trouble. Ship crew building, leveling up, meeting and accruing a motley crew kind of thing, like meeting personalities and being able to like, Fire Emblem style, be like, you're cool. Like, you have to join our group, and now we're going to have an A, B, and C relationship, or whatever. Like, and yeah, leading to something more leading to something bigger / more pretentious for sure. And most of all, Andy being really weird and not knowing what to expect. Having you off-booking monsters and stuff. Like, you are killing it on Gracefall, and I got so jealous that I really am looking forward to just kind of being like, it's a flump, but it's poison type or whatever. Like, just kind of like, what are we even doing right now? Like, because my favorite thing about that, and as an experienced player, and Timothy, I'll speak for you a little bit as far as like just an experienced player. Cece, you certainly know what you're doing as an experienced player. There's a lot of times where it's just kind of like, oh yeah, it's a this. Like, my character doesn't know, but I know, so there's a certain amount of like, I'm not afraid of it. Like, we're worried, like, I could get creamed in 2 hits because it has slam, and I know it can do this, that, and the other thing. When you have a fungus Tyrannosaurus run out of the forest at people and just start spewing mushrooms at them or whatever, it's like, I have no idea what's going on. We're all in trouble. Everyone fucking, is it immune to fire? Who knows? Fuck. Like, there's nothing more exciting than just being like, I have no idea where I am, to the point where it takes you back to that childhood version of D&D, which is like, I don't know what Lamia do. I guess I'm scared of a
I can get hit once and die.
Yeah, like, I don't fucking know where I'm at.
The fuck's a Bahir?
Yeah, like, holy shit. Why does Andy like it so much? Because it's got this prom picture glamour shot in its bio?
It's so excited!
But yeah, like all of a sudden having poison be here, ice be here, whatever the fuck be here, like all of a sudden it's just kind of like it's similar
Strawberry
to a thing
chocolate.
I know. Yeah, but it's not a thing I know. I've loved watching you like evolve into this monster so much that I am looking forward to experiencing it more ourselves because we got some of it. Certainly, the goop were not a well-established monster manual monster, but like. Yeah, again, just having this idea of like, I don't know, it's a lightning hamster, deal with it. It's like, cool, I guess we have lightning hamsters now. Like, yeah, like, I am very much excited for that. But also being like, look, we have to make camp because I've got fucking nothing left in the tank. Like, we can push forward and figure out whether or not we can get a good treasure to carry us to the next part. Or we can take a fucking nap. We're going to have to bar some doors. I missed that from
I think you're playing the right... you're playing the right class.
Oh, for sure, for sure.
You know,
but yeah, like the idea that like, look, we have to shore up this room. We're gonna bar this door. We're gonna bar this door. We're gonna make a fucking camp, and we're gonna like nap it out for 20 minutes. I want someone to have to take cat nap. But yeah, like so that's like going into this. That idea of like, yeah, we might meet some interesting NPCs, people from different cultures. But I like want a Mass Effect style like recruit one of them to be like. And you're our Garrus, buddy. Calibrate our fucking guns, and I can't wait to be best friends with you. Let's go. You know, like... and you're not required to do every one of these things, but, like, those are the kind of things that I think are really... excite me the most about the potential of this setting so much. I'm just kind of like... once we're past the storm wall in an indeterminate amount of episodes, spoilers, like, that idea of kind of, like, we can encounter whole races of, like, we haven't seen land in 100 years orcs. Or we could go to desert kingdoms of elves who the land has fallen fallow. Like, you know, not to give you ideas, but you can freely use them. Actually, I think at least the desert elves I might be stealing from you. So, like, that idea of, like, going out and seeing weird versions of shit you think you know in D&D is probably the thing that excites me the most about this whole thing. But I want to fuck around in some silent ruins where everything's weird and something skitters in the darkness every time and we never make our perception checks. I think there's a lot of fun to be had in a lot of directions here.
Wow, Marty, I can't believe you stole my notes that I totally had when you asked me that question earlier.
I apologize. My wife apologizes and she doesn't even know what she did. But yes, I am sorry. That's my fault. Everyone, I stepped on Cece's toes. I apologize.
I could hear the crunch of toes from here.
No, yeah, you know what? And I saw it on your face. I was like, I think I might be way overlapping with Cece's whole list, but,
which is to say, I second everything that you said.
She seconds that emotion. Just wrote a song about it.
It'll never work. Okay, so there's a lot there. I would say noted, but I gave up writing it all down because I'm just going to re-listen to this episode. I'll just note it then.
I can copy and paste it in chat if you need.
That would be good too. Okay, let me think. Before I forget, and this should never go unsaid. Even if you've been playing with each other for 1 month or 5 years, some sort of safety tools in place. I think we all have a good understanding relationship where we feel like we can be open and honest with each other. Is there anything that is a hard line or veil, you know, even if it's like, hey, no lightning raccoons. Raccoons, their little people hands creep me out. So, you know, or spiders. You know, lots of people are freaked out by spiders or things that have a lot of holes in them. I can't remember what that's called. It's got a fun phobia name.
Tryptophobia.
Tryptophobia.
Mm-hmm.
Anything like that?
No,
Okay.
not for me.
Yeah, I mean, just the normal stuff. I think you know where my lines are.
Yeah. I would never do sexual assault or anything like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and similarly, we've established it before, but like I don't like messing with my physical body unless, and again, and I mentioned this to you before, but I want to just specify, if you're like there's danger in this hole, and I'm like, I reach my hand into it anyway, then I am opting into a certain amount of like, I am willingly or heroically, for instance, doing a thing you told me might be dangerous, and then danger happened. I get that.
Right.
But yeah, just in general, if I wrote it down on my character sheet, I mostly want that to stay pretty static.
Right. Or if you
but again,
I cut off my hand to put on the hand of Vecna, but I said I didn't like that, and how dare you? It's like, but you said what?
Yeah, but hold on, you did that.
You did it though.
Right.
Nobody made you do that.
I can't believe Joe got mad at you for that.
Yeah, you said I use my action and my bonus action to do this thing. I feel like that's not my fault as the DM. No, yeah, for sure. There are certainly times where like the risk reward is clear, and if it's clear to me, then I may still do it. But yeah, I just like being in control of like my
right. Yeah, of course.
My physical self.
Krista had a friend growing up who would eat like a full bag of cheese, like a full brick of cheese, and she would say to Krista, "Why did you let me do that?" It's like, you're a person. Like, I can't actually stop you.
You know what? I respect it, though.
Okay. Let's see. We still have on the table the idea of everyone knowing each other, or how they're going to do that. So we're gonna tackle that in a second. But let me ask this question first, because I think it'll be a shorter discussion. How long do y'all want to stay in the starting area? Do you want to do like establish who characters are, and then like, now let's just go, like 1-2 episodes?
All aboard!
Or do you want to do like, okay, we establish who characters know, like, because there are dungeons in this area. It's like, do you want to go into one of the starter dungeons in this area, or just be like, nope, bye?
I guess my answer would depend on a question that I'm going to ask you, Andy, in that you've kind of established that in this world, there are people that do regularly travel into these dungeons. Being level 3 adventurers, is there a chance that we would have possibly traveled into these dungeons before?
That would be up for you to decide, but it very likely. The one on Wayward Vale is sort of like a pretty well known easy dungeon, quote unquote. It's fairly people know it's like full of undead kind of thing. There's another tower that's full of undead. There's like one that's like run by pirate lords. Unlikely you would have gone into that one. Amble Crown is probably like the highest level one, because it's a volcano. Like it's like you want to have some kind of fire resistance. Like you probably want to have like level 3 spells before you're going in there. The one up in the Deadwood Falls is like a medium level dungeon. That one would probably be pushing it. It might be like, in like a Zelda term, it might be like you go in and you go, oh, I'm not ready for, I don't have any of the items I need for this. Like I'll come back later. But like Fell Tower.
I need that?
God. How come I don't have a bow yet? Where was I supposed to get that?
Everything here has an eye. I know that means I have to shoot it in it.
My slingshot doesn't work.
Damn it.
But like Fell Tower or the Ghost Tower, if you all would have, if individually you think, yeah, you know what, maybe as a kind of a rite of passage, or I lost someone in there and I went to something like that. One of those two for sure would offer appropriate level adventuring, and maybe you never got to the top level kind of thing. It's just like, you know what, I got this. I got the stuff I need. I got the stuff for the magic potion the local witch wanted. I'm good. I don't need anything else in here. It's not worth risking my life.
Okay. Then, based off of that answer, my answer would probably be, unless there's much of, like, a story reason for us to kind of go to those other dungeons and kind of the quote-unquote starting area, I would probably opt for kind of getting to the exploration part sooner rather than later.
Okay.
I kind of agree.
Okay.
Yeah, I I think because like if I was gonna play the clever little shit, I was definitely like I've been in that dungeon and it killed somebody, like, and I don't want to go back. But I wouldn't mind doing our kind of like early session to we're delving into the Fell Tower either as a rite of passage or to find something or rescue someone specific, and then like. Again, to presume, because we all kind of know where this is going, that kind of like, that's prologue to this idea of like, oh shit, the storm fell. Like, so I'd be sent there by my father, mother, / person who was struck by lightning. You guys might be kind of like, hey, you're about, you need to protect the chosen one. You're on your star's dream voyage or whatever, like, as part of that, you all go to the Fell Tower, like, and you only have to do 2 levels or whatever, but you have to come back. A little bit of a minor dungeon crawl to also let Andy build out some prologue. I wouldn't mind. But if we want to start with, it's a normal day in Port Town until the fucking Everstorm falls, I don't think that's a bad beat either. But I wouldn't mind getting some dice rolling under our feet early, a little dungeon crawly early, so that we get that taste. And then roll that into that kind of like, you guys come out, you're successful, the light dawns, and then the Everstorm fucking drops or whatever. Like, so, yeah.
So maybe we start like at the door of whatever dungeon.
Oh,
local dungeon, and we go in.
We can get there.
We already know each other, maybe, and then or a little to what degree our connection affords that knowledge, right? Whether it's casual or deeper or whatever we decide, and then we go through, and then we come out of this. Maybe it's our first time all together.
Right, it's your first.
Right? Whether we know each other or not prior to, whether we all do or not, and then we come out at whatever, if it's first session, second session, third session, we come out of this initial run and our big story event happens,
and
that takes us to the next level.
I think that's exactly where I was. My mind was going. I think it does make sense to either start. I do like the idea of starting kind of in media res in the dungeon. It's a little more. It has the flavor of starting in the tavern, except now it's your dungeon. It's Dungeons and Dragons. Start in the dungeon.
Right.
And it sort of does get, and then it's like a comic book in that way, where it's like, how did the Avengers get here? It's just like Captain America will have a flashback to be like, well, the
it also feels very Final Fantasy in a way. A lot of Final Fantasy, like, kind of start off with like you're jumping right into it, And
Andy, one of my favorite of your stream starts is the Martha and the Mandos start. You're in the middle of a bar fight. You've already, like, hey, something's happened. You're behind an overturned table. Fucking go. Like, it's immediately happening. I remember just watching that being like, fuck, I wish I was there. Like, this is so much fun immediately. So there's something about that I think does work. And I already have some ideas for how we can at least be connected enough to know each other's names. And we can take that off stream or whatever. But, like, as a refugee, but maybe a refugee of some status, we'd be taken in by a monastery or priesthood that might shelter both of you if you're both celebrants of the stars, for instance. So, like, we could at least be passingly familiar enough to be grouped together to be like, hey, go do a thing. Some iteration on that. Yeah.
I was going to offer up that, my shrine is a really good place to have at least run into me before, because we do regularly hold ceremonies. People come there seeking guidance, stuff like that, especially, if you've got any connection, like Timothy is talking about, that would probably be a good place to go and look for guidance if you're looking for it. So that's definitely a really easy point of connection, because you could have run into me doing stuff there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that idea too. It makes sense. Yeah, I might be thinking elf race too, but maybe a different elf race, and so maybe we could be cousins or something.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure.
When you mentioned family, that's not something that comes up a lot in D&D, and I do like that cousins angle. I think that's interesting.
Yeah, I would be down for being cousins. Yeah, really, cool. Whatever. But yeah, familial ties, I'd be down for it.
Cool. I was thinking maybe like Shadow Kai elf, and sort of maybe that ties in with the whole astrology stars thing. I don't know, something about darkness. Astral elves, of course, stars. But so I don't know, and they have a very similar kind of flavor in terms of the astral step and the blessing of the Raven Queen thing they do. But it's different enough. I mean, I don't know. So yeah, I'm sort of thinking that way. I don't know how that works with your worldview, Andy. I mean, I can have crossed through. Did we talk about the other planes and their sort of accessibility? You know what I mean? As far as are there shadow crossings? Are there fake crossings? That kind of thing.
Yeah. So there definitely fake crossings. Very strong connections to the elemental planes as well. And at this point, I mean, there has to be enough tragedies, especially Amble Crown, that place is probably half of a shadow crossing, the island. So definitely connections to the plane. Any sort of extra planar stuff, you could get to it. And then connections to extraplanar beings. For the most part, it is as written in the PHB. I don't know what I would do with Shatterkai and the Raven Queen, because the Raven Queen's not a god here, but that just means she's an important elf, kind of, because she's got 18 different origins anyway, which I like. As in, I played with it in the last thing, so obviously I'm into it.
Yeah.
But the idea that she's probably just a very powerful elf. On the level of a Fey Lord. She's not a goddess, she's an archfey, basically. Who's
right.
That kind of thing. And Coralon probably the same way. It's just they're so powerful that if you ran into them, they certainly seem like a god, but here, kind of almost an unnecessary distinction from Coralon's point of view. They're probably mad about it, but from your point of view, it's just you're not in our pantheon, kid. You're an archfey,
right? Right. Or I'm thinking of Thor in the Marvel Universe.
Right. He's an alien who's indistinguishable from a god.
Right.
I thought of this earlier when I was just kind of putzing around the house. Gold probably isn't the predominant form of currency.
Love it.
It's
a useless metal.
So gold might still hold some value as it's pretty. And collectors, and it's very malleable. So for wizards and stuff like that, they might have alchemical uses for gold. So it's not worthless. It's just not. Well, we didn't make our currency out of gold. It's a very barter-based system anyway. So it's a lot of, my uncle owes you a favor kind of thing. I owe you a favor. Well, we gave you 6 pieces of trees, a lot kind of thing, an acreage. And then any kind of currency would probably be to steal from Dragonlance metal or useful metal or bone. Something that could be used to make something. Again, gemstones and gold and silver, traditionally precious metals, they're useful. They're useful to wizards and clerics and druids. So they don't not hold value. It's just not I'm they're all we care about. No, they have specific purposes.
So is it more of a barter-based economy then, or is there a coin system?
There is a coin system, but for the most part, and if I default to saying gold pieces as the just no lore wise, it has never come up on Gracefall. They don't use gold either. They have paper currency in Gracefall. But for the most part, you can get stuff done with bartering. It's a lot of barter.
Okay.
Liz says, "What? Yeah, I don't think it's ever come up. You get paychecks. It's direct deposit."
Okay.
Electronic.
Yeah, use your
solar punk.
Use your tap card. It's all crystals over there anyway.
Yeah.
It's all sunburn. It's all sunburn currency.
Mm-hmm.
They burn it onto you because it's solar punk.
It's shells and smooth rocks.
It's clever use of sunscreen. It's like, okay, let me just write.
Right.
This is my balance. I'll just tan right there, and it'll be fine.
Right.
It says balls.
Okay. I should have known we were going to use the full time. It's 9:30. So there's a couple things we could do here. We could sort of take a couple minutes, wrap it up, continue anything we need to finalize offline, or in 2 weeks we could come back for session 0.5. It's happened before.
Maybe we start to talk about it offline, and if it starts to become a larger discussion, you know what, maybe for a couple of weeks.
Yeah, now that I've got more of a, I'm going to be this character, I think, I feel pretty well settled that I think we could start in 2 weeks with a little bit of offline hootenanny. But Cece said, if it starts to grow out a little bit of oh, hold on, that's a great idea. Let's see that, or let's talk about that, so the audience will know. I'd be willing to be fluid there. But I think, if you guys want to be country cousins or city cousins, either way, the fact that we're refugees and your temple might have taken us in would put us in close proximity enough that I think we can hit the ground running in 2 weeks pretty easily. But let's talk about it a little bit and see what's right for the stream and right for the game.
Yeah. Sure. I have to say just now, I mean, barring any changes, I could be ready to go in 2 weeks.
Okay.
No problem. Just, the ensemble trust we have, etc. Just work it out. Anything that isn't like that, we'll work it out.
Exactly. And we do this a lot in general. We'll do it live. I trust us all to find our footing live. If we have to retcon a couple things, you know what? Terry Pratchett makes mistakes. Sometimes
the last thing I said is right.
Sometimes it's the last thing I said.
Yeah.
I know that happened in Star Chasers for sure. Goop lore.
Maybe Hester had tenure, or maybe Hester never had tenure.
Right, exactly. Matter. And Goop lore definitely changed.
What's the line? Do I contradict myself? Very well then. I contradict myself. I contain multitude.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Right. Exactly. So I think with that being said, for sure, I think we can hit the ground running next time. Because I also don't know if we'd have a full... I feel like that one would be an hour, maybe. And granted, look, I've often underestimated our ability to talk. I don't know why. There's 5 years of evidence to say we can fill 2 hours. I've said this shopping episode will take 20 minutes, and it's taken 2 hours. And that's not a bad thing, because guess what? I'm having a ball. So let's say next time will be episode 1, barring any sort of... Well, hold on. Let's talk about that more in front of people for content. But we'll... Yeah. And at the beginning of next episode, we will obviously... Well, maybe we'll discover it through the show. We'll kind of explain in a thought bubble. Well, hold on. Cece knows that Timothy's character is actually their cousin, as seen in, Shattered Kingdom's Prelude, issue 4.
We could challenge each other to come up with ham-fisted expositional dialogue, like, cousin, come to me.
Yeah.
I haven't seen you this distraught since that trying time when we first met Marty's character. Like
Marty's
invulnerable when I blasted.
Yeah, I was about to say Marty's explaining their powers.
Exactly.
Over there.
Like, and then the challenge is to like try and crack up the others with your ham-fisted like expositional dialogue, and the challenge to the others is not that crack up, obviously.
Every episode is someone's first episode, including our first episode.
That's right. It's also our first episode every time.
I like that.
Thank you all so much. It's absolutely a joy to be back, DMing and running things. So let's do some outros and some plugs in our brand new overlay format. Timothy.
Hi, I'm Timothy. Thanks for tuning in. What am I plugging? Vote. Vote in your primaries. Midterms are coming up. Now more than ever. We owe it to ourselves to stand up for ourselves as a country. And, vote for what's right. So, get out there, kids. You can do it.
Cece.
Hi, I'm Cece, aka Soup, aka Soupska, on the Twitters and the Instagrams. I second that you should go out and vote, and I also second that I'm very excited and happy back on our Wednesday shows. That was it.
And Marty.
Also excited to be back on our Wednesday shows and our bullshit in general because, I've had this circle on the calendar for a long time, and I'm really excited about. I think there's a lot of chances for Andy to be weird right now, but also, cool it with the progressive depression, voter depression shit. Like, it's not the best bill, but it's the biggest bill in like history so far. So like, let's just carry that momentum forward. We don't have the votes. You want the votes? Vote in November. Thank you very much. This has been all of our PSA. Actually, boom, we got you. This whole session 0 has actually been a big voter push. So register and mail in your ballots, whatever it takes. Cool. But also, look, I understand it's not the best thing, and Joseph Robinette Biden is not the most transformative figure. But you know what? It's actually a big deal. Well, just happened. So check your calendar for when this episode dropped, because that will make more sense in context. I'm not going to explain it to you. This is going to age well. Andy?
I hope nothing bad happens.
That's what I'm doing.
Let's see. Hi, we're back on Wednesdays. So that means that Gracefall returns next week with episode 18.
What?
Looking up episode name. Looking up Greener Pastures. It's a great jumping on point.
That's a good one.
If you've never watched Gracefall before. Dragon Lords is also back on Sunday. We've been back for a couple weeks now. So come check that out. And in 2 weeks, episode 1 of Shattered Kingdoms, Wayward Vale, will be right here. Right here. Can you believe it?
Right here in this very spot?
In this very same Laughing Dragon in time, same Laughing Dragon in Twitch stream channel URL.
So are you saying that I need to sit right in the spot that I'm at for 2 weeks to catch it?
I do not recommend that.
Like and subscribe.
But if you hit that bell, then you'll be notified when we upload new episodes, and that way you don't get bed sores.
Oh, thank goodness.
A broken bell, like we built in Philadelphia and celebrate for some reason.
We didn't build it broken.
Be like a werewolf and like and subscribe.
That's it grows on you. That's a different kind of joke. Nailed
different
it.
Kind of right.
Fucking did it.
The important thing is vote.
Yes.
Do vote. I vote every year. It's not.
Yeah, there is an election.
There is an election every year. I've had that discussion with someone before.
Holy shit. Yes.
They told me I was lying and that only in Montgomery, only in the county I live in. And I was like, no. Everywhere there's an election every year. It's not always for neat positions. It's sometimes just for local positions, but those are important too.
Absolutely, increasingly
affect your life more than the president.
I think that's it. Be weird, stay weird. Have a good night, everybody.
Fuck yeah.
I know. Okay, I've only been doing this for 4.5 years. That's fine.